aspect of the simulator, which is the programming. So there's 3 programs that we've talked about, but we'll start off from part 1, pretty much the locomotive controller. We'll get this down here. Alright, so we talked about the locomotive controller, we talked about the locomotive brake controller, we talked about the radio, where to get all these parts from, and then we talked about the switches and the buttons and the levers, also the switch box here, also our screens on the MFDs, and then our buttons here. And then we talked about the programming for the Arduinos, and then the wiring and writing the code for the Arduinos, which is your analog read on these 1, 2, and 3, and then all our push button on that, which is input pull-ups. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the interface program, which is your Train Simulator 2020 Raildriver and Joystick Interface Volume 3.2.0 Mode Standard 6.4. You've got a 34-bit and 64, which you're going to be running the 64. So what we have here currently running is the Train Simulator 2020 in windowed mode. You do not want it full screen. You have to have it windowed because whenever you're programming, you're actually reading what these levers are doing. You're reading from notch value 0 all the way to full. And then this guy here, same thing, notch value 0 all the way to full. Notch value 0, notch value 0, notch value 0, and all the way to full on all 3. So you're having to have both systems up and running and a piece of paper, writing down what it's reading, what you're wanting to have, that number, which I'll show you whenever we get the camera positions to focus on the full screen. Sorry I haven't done a video in a couple days. I was live this weekend. I believe that was Friday night and Saturday morning, if that's the case, for a few hours. But this week it's a busy week for me. I gotta focus due to the fact that I'll be going on vacation the next 2 weeks. So I'm gonna make sure I do everything that I need to do at work and get that all done. That way there's no complaining. And then start off the new year ready to rock and roll, highball it till July 4th. Which I always take 2 vacations. One during my July 4th weekend, as if you can tell in my first couple videos, whenever we talked about the United States Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. So I do take that very to heart, I would say, because we are in a beautiful country that is slowly going to poop, if I can say nicely, with the piece of junk retards or incapacitated degenerates that we voted in. So don't get me started. But we're going to focus on the simulator, not political BS. So we're going to get the camera positioned, which, if you can focus in and see, we're in our cab. So we've got our levers set at 0. That guy's, he's set up at full bore, which that one does jump a little bit. But there's a couple of little bugs I got to work out on these guys. But if we see our red lever on that screen, we've got a red lever here set up to full, which that's emergency pretty much. That's full set. Now we get him down to 0. That's reading 0, releases the brakes. And then we get this guy down here. That releases the locomotive brakes. Now we're gonna start rolling. So we're on a hill grade going downhill. We don't want to start rolling out. So now the locomotive is stopped. Now for our dynamic brakes, which I've got a booger in this guy here, I've got to readjust the potentiometer. I got to tighten it up because technically it is not reading the registering I'm needing. Murphy's Law during video. But for our locomotive throttle, we set that into notch 1, it goes into notch 1. We set that into notch 2, goes into notch 2. Set that into 3, goes into 3, 4, 5, which we're actually pulling on them, so we've got the full brakes applied, and we're burning some metal. So we'll get that back set to there. Get that set to neutral. But compared to pressing keyboard press, this interface program is reading these levers. That's what I wanted to eliminate. I wanted to eliminate the joysticks. I wanted to eliminate the keyboard. I wanted to eliminate the raildriver for Train Simulator 2020-2022 from Steam Railworks. So that's an amazing song. Now, if we go back here, which we're gonna pop that into forward, which I've got to get this guy adjusted again. That's giving me a headache. Whenever I get back in from vacay, we'll take that apart and redo that pot sensor. But whenever I get my dynamics, as I said in setup, it goes to setup. So there's notch values that this interface program is reading. And those are the notch values that you've got to get down, written, and then put it into play. Now you're going to work on this thing for a couple hours, maybe a couple days, depending how easy it goes. Everybody's notch value is going to be a little bit different, but try to keep them up to par and at the same as much as possible. Whenever we get into dynamic 1, it'll read 3, so it is a little bit of a jump, but it drops down to 2, which that's where you finesse it a little bit. But for me, as long as it works all the way from pretty much 2, which I get it, going to 3, which is in range values there, and then I can get it back down, reading those, and then pop it into off. So it should be off. That gets into off. So whenever I'm moving these levers, the system is reading my values that I've put into the interface program, and it is applying it to the simulator. So now we're going to get the camera positioned, and we'll pause that, and we'll see what the readings are reading here, okay? So let's get everything moved over a little bit. Let me take a bite of some pasta that the wife made me. Store-bought, outstanding. When you've only had probably a cup of coffee and donut holes and cheeses with a good iced tea all day, anything is pretty tasty whenever you get home. So, that's my food of choice while I'm working. Coffee, Cheez-Its, tea, and a customer gave me some chocolates. That made me happy. That made my day, I tell you what. I love chocolate. I'll clear out a bowl within a couple of days. So, if you want to mail me some chocolate, I'll be perfectly fine. So let's get this guy moved over here, and we'll see what I'm seeing here, okay? So now, let me get that adjusted here. Hold on a second. 1 minute. Get the keyboard moved over. Mouse is going to get moved over right there. Get you adjusted down here real quick. Alright. So this is our raildriver interface program. This video is going to probably be about maybe 20, 30, 45 minutes long. It is 8 o'clock at night. They're somewhat of a booger. So right now my engine brake control is 0. That's turned off. Okay, that's the locomotive brake. That is the black lever. We have the train brake control at 079, which is pretty high, which is perfectly fine. We have our virtual throttle at 0, which is supposed to be reading at least 50 or 75, so I've got to get that adjusted. Then we have our virtual dynamic brake, which our reverser is at 1. Our virtual throttle is 0, correct. That is our throttle controller. We have a reverser at 1, which is forward, which that is set into forward. And then we have our virtual dynamic brake at 0. So dynamics are off, the reverser is in forward, the throttle is off, the train brake is on, and the engine brake control is off. Now if I adjust the engine brake, which is the locomotive brake, it'll read 24, 5, 1, which I've got it set to 1. So whenever I set it to 1, it'll do what it needs to do. It sets it full bore. So what I might do on that guy is adjust it to intervals, but that's perfectly fine. But down here, data received. This tells me all the data that the Railworks is registering. Okay. Air brake pressure 64, equalization reservoir 60, PSI 65 on locomotive brake cylinder, horn is 0, simple throttle is at 1.05, simple change direction is at 1, engine brake control, train brake control 79, 79. Virtual RPM is 434.9946. Regulator screen 0, regulator 0, virtual throttle. So all that stuff's pretty much access. Now when we come up to here, what we are seeing is we've got a reverser, which is serial keyboard mouse joystick X reserved. We've got our now throttle and brake. That is for your desktop controller, which is for the -9, whenever you have the throttle and the dynamic brake. So that can be put into 2. You can do that as the train brake if that's the case, depending. Throttle, our serial keyboard mouse joystick Z, normal, which is the normal forward and backward position. This one says reverse, which is the contacts. That's your power. Alright? Serial keyboard mouse joystick RZ, rotational Z, reversed. Serial keyboard mouse joystick slider 0, reversed. And then serial keyboard mouse joystick Y, normal. So when we go stop to callback, I'm going to stop callback. Now we go to key maps. This is where we are doing our lever map, which will edit our lever map. So now we have all our range values and our notch values, and if it's enabled, so you got control group, okay, you've got the name assigned to, which everything's pretty much the same, practically. Enabled. The dynamic brake is not enabled. The dynamic virtual is enabled, so you can't run both at once. It will give you a bad reading. The handbrake, yes. Okay. We've got the headlights. Yes. Normal 1, 2, on, off. Which those are lights and stuff that I had for switches and whatnot. Correct. So the main things we're working on is the train brake control. Yes, that's reversed. Our throttle. Yes, that's normal. So all this stuff can be obsolete pretty much if you wanted to. I had those put in. And brake. So now we're reading our notch values. So notch values, those are somewhat fun. So for the dynamic brake, 0 is off. 0.111111, 0.22222, 33333, 44444, 55556, 6.6667, 7.7778, 8.8889, and then 1. Now you have notch names. You have off and then DB space 8. You have to have your apostrophes. You have to have them, because if you don't, it's going to read it as 1 value on the name. Then we have down here, use notches. No. On that one, yes, for the dynamic. For release and direct, no. We've got other ones, yes. Notch values for our reverser, reverse center forward, yes, it is a notch values, because if it doesn't and your reader is jumpy, it's going to be bouncing on the screen. So you're not going to want that, because it'll be popping in and out of gear. Now we're going for, which is pretty much that part there. So the locomotive brake, yes, which is the engine brake control, normal, 0 and 1, 0, and then we got 0.01, and then we got 1. So it's pretty much off, applied, full bore. So that's how that works. For our throttle, which is our regulator throttle, is it enabled? No, but we got the virtual train throttle, yes. So I put both of them in there in case I needed to use one. I could, because it does save the notch values for me. So for the throttle on the virtual we are using, that is enabled. It is in the normal 0 to 1. Now we're reading our notch values, which we have 0, which is off, which is in idle. Then we have 0.125 apostrophe, 0.25 apostrophe 37550, which is 5 half, which is notch 4, not. Then we have off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are the range values that you're putting in. Idle, and then you're naming which every single one of those is. Idle, notch 1, notch 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, is it using notches? Yes. Because if you don't use notches, and it's going to be jumping a little bit, it's going to be popping in and out of gear. Popping in and out of notch 1 or 2 or idle or whatnot. Then we've got our train brake control, which is the train brakes. Yes, reversed, 0 to 1. We're reading 0, 0.2, and then 5 and 1. That's what we're reading on that guy. 1 is fully applied emergency. Then we have full suppression. Then we have pretty much, what do you call that? You have, emergency, HO, full suppression, and then minimum released. That's how I did that guy. And then release, graduated, self-lap, limited holding, full service, and emergency. That's what we did there. Is it using notch values? No. Could I? I could, but I'd have to put in these numbers like these, which the actual rotation aspect is quite a bit close to those numbers, which that number somewhat is finicky. But it does apply the brakes and get you to stop the train. That's the main thing on getting it to working. Wipers. Yes, yes, no, no. So we'll go through this slowly. The dynamic brake virtual, which is this guy here. Yes, it is enabled. Normal is the position. Range value 0 to 1. And we're doing our dynamics. 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Which you're reading 1, 2, reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you got your 1, which is full, notch 8. Okay. Off, DB 8. Range values, use notches, yes. So that's how that's set up. Now, as you see down here, load lever map is MPES44DC BNSF XML. Assigned button mapper is default button mapper XML. which nothing's changed on it, so that's done there. But that's how you're doing these things for this interface program. So per unit, you can have it set up the same, which you'll say, do you want to apply this to all your other locomotives? Yes, you can, which on every one you want to choose. And you can get that the way it's done there. It's pretty self-explanatory. It does come with a PDF on how to set the system up and get it up and running. Okay, because this is actually made for raildriver. It's a TS 2020 raildriver and joystick interface. So it's built for TS 2020. So it'll tell you how to do it pretty much. It's not hard. This section was the funnest whenever getting the system up and running. Now right here you'll see keyboard, mouse, and joystick. Now you see I got two of them. Well, one of those is for the push button levers. That is obsolete because those push button levers are acting like a keyboard. So I don't need a kick on that one. So whenever you're putting it in, you got to do the top one. Whichever one that reads those, it pretty much does the top one. Okay? Now we got a raildriver sensitivity. Higher is less sensitive. I have mine set at 2. So if I put it to 0, whatever reading it is going to show up on that simulator while you're driving. That's a booger. So you want to have that sensitivity a little bit down. Okay, so I always put it at 2. So let's get this guy up and running. We'll start callback. Then we'll get back onto here, which we've clicked onto the windowed Train Simulator 64. And we're gonna drive this locomotive over here, which I'm sorry you can't see it, but what I'm gonna do is pop that reverser into forward, and which sometimes it is fun. So reverser is gonna be reading notch 1. And this is what you're reading. You're reading your so let's say we'll do forward. We've got our brakes, which that shows to 0. And now it's reading the pressures and the air brake pressures. Everything's going down on that simulator. This is reading everything that the simulator is registering. Okay? Now since we're downhill, I've just had my slack taken out of the train. It's starting to roll forward. We're hitting about 5 miles an hour right now, which is pretty quick. I'm on a pretty good grade. So 0.9% grade. So we go to here, we can see dynamic brake 0, reverser screen 1, reverser, throttle is at 0. Distance counter, you can have a distance counter put in. But speedometer, you see my speed is at 12 mph 13, which on the simulator it's rating 13, 14, 15 coming up. Yep, 15. So it does read everything that this simulator is registering. So if I wanted to apply the train brake, we see I've got that set to 83, which is medium. So if I wanted notch values, I could do 79, which is full suppression. So you can do full suppression at 79 and pop that into that aspect whenever you're putting in the numbers. So you see my speed, it reads practically nothing, which is 0.00. These numbers are obsolete, okay? Don't worry about those. But you see how it flicks. That's at 2 seconds. So train brake control is still steady at 79. If I wanted to pop it up, 87, which is the next value. And then if I wanted to do emergency, see, I see it does 87, 84, 84, 87, 8, 89. So that's the thing with these numbers, 79, 82, 79. 78. And then that's shut all the way off. Now for our throttle, if I want to pop in my throttle, we'll put in that forward, we'll pop our throttle to 1, which is now is reading 125. Virtual throttle is at 0.125. So the reading on that, which we're going to start pulling on them, getting all the slack out the locomotive on a downhill grade. This is where you've got the piece of paper and you're writing down these values. Okay? Like with my dynamic brake, let's see, where am I at? Throttle, yeah? See, virtual throttle 0.125. On the regulator screens, showing 0.125. Regulator is 125. RPM is 434. So we're rolling downhill pretty quick. So, kick that back off and that goes down to 0. Which the wife is talking to the kiddos. So this is what you're doing whenever you're setting this system up. Speedometer is dropping down. 64. Train brake control. PSI 66. Air brake pressure is 64. PSI is 160. Main reservoir pressure is 140.76, which that's good there. We're at 66 on the BC, which is perfectly fine. 65. So that's fully set up at 65, which will drop down to 64 and be fully applied. It does take a little bit of a while for it to do that, but now this system here does also have on your settings, run automatically when Windows starts. You do have an overlay program. Play alerter, it does have a built-in alerter that does go off every minute and a half. But you're having to press a button or something on the locomotive simulator, which that thing's pretty loud. So, but since I'm using the EN Railworks updates for these locomotives, it's got it built in, so it's perfectly fine. Now sometimes this mode is standard. You can run it in advanced. Sometimes you'll have to reset this thing, but everything is saved. So enabled there. Start the call back there, and then click back onto that screen. This is why you're running it in Windows, because you're registering and writing down what these things are reading. And 65, 64, train brake control is 0.8, which is nothing there, that's off. But this is it. Your Train Simulator 2020 Raildriver and Joystick Interface Volume 3.2.0 Mode Standard 64. You can get this online. It's not hard. Just look it up and you'll find it. Download it, and this is what you'll be reading. So right now we're at idle. But that's pretty much it. Let's see my emergency brake. I wonder if that actually does work. It does. So you see my emergency brake, I just kicked in my emergency brake and it does work. Now it's completely set everything up into emergency, which sucks. That put the brake assembly into emergency. So now I can actually drop that back down to release, pop it in neutral, right there. horror movies. Now, if you really wanted to, you can get these three numbers right here, 0.68. All these other numbers are obsolete, okay? But whenever you move that handle on that Windows screen, you can actually get it to where you want it, which one is full set. So your notch values, you can actually set up to get to work the way you want it. It's just a little bit difficult sometimes. But those are that. Boom, pops it in, 18. And your full suppression. And your complete. And pow. So that's how those work whenever you're doing these things. Try not to just release the brakes. So the dynamic reverser is at forward, 1. Where I put in that reverse. Every time go down, so reverser's at 1, which is on. See? It even reads the horn readings. If you see the horn down here, whenever I'm pressing my horn, which I don't have it activated, but it's acting like a keyboard press. So it's registering on the simulator what it's doing. Apply our brakes, stop the locomotive because we're on a downhill grade, man. Jeez Louise, what fun. Oh, that's why, because I'm in notch 1. So reverser is -1. You see that? Whenever I put my reverser to that, -1. Where's my reverser reading? I've got to figure that out. Why it's not doing it. There's something. Reverser. Reverser is -1. Yeah, it's got to get tightened up because it's not reading it. That's why. Alright. So that's something I got to work on. Forward. Reverser 0, then we have 1. Alright. Cross my heart and hope to die. Welcome to the dark side. So my engine brake control, that's something I gotta work on there too. Get the bugs out of that. But yeah, you'll deal with bugs and stuff like that, which is the fun part. That's the fun part whenever you're doing a simulator. But that is it. Show your lever assignment, yes. So every locomotive that you do is what you're putting in. And so it's reading 5 pot sensors, which are your potentiometers. So you can add other things if you wanted. Glare panels, which there's buttons you can press for buttons like switches. Boom, pop in the glare panels if you wanted, and it'll drop them down, which is pretty cool. which are your sun visors, aka. So, step lights, cab lights, glare panels, bell, sander, handbrake, startup, virtual emergency brake. So, alerter, override. Where's my alerter override? What is that? Oh, nope. So if I did my alerter override, let's see here. Where'd that go? I could have my alerter override set up, which that does. It does work on that, so whenever I'm in forward. Visual alerter. Yeah, you could have a visual alerter set up too if you wanted. I don't know how that works, but this thing does have quite a bit of things that could be put into play whenever you're dealing with this. So through time, people are getting more things set up. Your isolation switch info, isolation switch, auto start info, train brake control and stuff. So simple change direction. If I want to pop in a notch one, get into one. Got the brakes released, yes, for full percent 90. Now, if you are wanting more detail in any part of the setup or install, comment and let me know. Ask me, and I can do a video about that. Wiring wise, if you want to know about the wiring, how to run it, how to set it up and test it, okay. It's not hard, but I do like your feedback. Man, the paint job that I did sucks. This darn screen box is starting to have issues. Not very good. Bell is off. Where's my bell? So if I have my lights on, you see, my headlights are on, and then when I kick them off, turn them off, it does read that. My wipers, you see my wipers running. Where are my wipers at? See, my wipers are on, down here, kick them off, wipers are off. So it registers those readings. It doesn't have the distance counter yet, which I wish it did. That'd be pretty neat. So I'm thinking through time, there's a way to get all this information put into an MFD screen. I don't know how to do that, but it'd be pretty cool to figure out how to do that. All this information into an MFD screen. So they might do an update to it, who knows? It's volume 3. I don't know if any new volumes have came out, but that'd be pretty cool. Whoever created this. So that's pretty much it, honestly, on the raildriver joystick interface program. So, and one thing you're always going to do is you're always going to have it running and pop it in on that part, which will tell you it's running okay, and it'll kick back on. You can stop the call back, let it read whatever you need to read. But that's pretty much it there on that. It's self-explanatory. It's not hard. Very simple, very easy. Oh, my kid's got a plan over here. There we go. But one thing on the Train Simulator 64, your biggest box for a resolution on the screen is not very big. So whenever you're running in window mode, this is what you're looking at. So they really didn't think about somebody having a 65-inch screen TV to run their simulator, or two of them at that. If they did a side view, that'd be awesome. Come on, Dovetail, work on it. That's pretty much it there on the locomotive TS 2020 raildriver and joystick interface. That's how that sucker's ran and set up and programmed. So it's pretty much the last video on the aspect build and the programming and stuff to it. And but yes, if you do have any questions on other things that you want to know about the simulator, where to get the parts from, I did a video on that. Manufacturers and cost and pricing, wiring, all this stuff I got off Amazon. Rotary switches. These are your toggle switches. That's for the radio. Momentary joysticks, momentary push buttons, momentary toggle switches with covers, momentary push buttons. These are called mushroom heads. And that's not the dirty mushroom heads either. That's what you get. Momentary style toggle switches here. Oh. Bell off. That's pretty much it there. Wiring wise and stuff like that. I gotta wake up early in the morning. That's the fun part. 5 o'clock. That's a simulator build there. That's it. There's groups on Facebook that do like locomotive parts and stuff that you can purchase from. Talk to people, they'll get them for you. You just gotta pay for it. I talked to the manufacturer for this guy. A buddy of mine got me one of these, which is Mr. Terry Joe Gately, a very good friend of mine. And then this guy here I found off of eBay, which you'll see that video there. These guys I got off of a buddy that does simulators for museums in Canada, which I've got the MFD screens I'm waiting to get from him. I just gotta get the cash for it. It's about $1,200. So, with that being said, I gotta wait a little while. That's all I said. Hold on for me. I'm gonna buy it. Don't worry. I just gotta get the money up front, which I'll be coming in, God willing, this spring. I did talk to the manufacturers on the seats. They're working up a quote, which I've got to check my email this week to see if they did reply and give me that quote on the price. They said they do have the chair that I'm looking for, but the air ride cushion, which is the base, they've got to find because it's on their website, but they can't find anything on it, which is strange. So it's an air ride equipped seat compared to a standard stand like this. It does move a little bit, but not much. But air ride equipped, that thing will be real nice. So that's one thing that I want is that air ride aspect, because there's going to be motors that I put underneath there with power source of 110. If that's the case, maybe less depending. I got to figure that out. But they're going to be running pretty fast. We're going quick, 43 and a 30. I'm surprised the locomotive alerter ain't gone off yet. dynamics. Okay. Then forward. And figuring that out, it can be done with Arduino, Rhapsody, and some other little systems you can use. But you gotta have the power and you gotta have the sensor, so I've gotta learn that. That's what I'll be learning this next year on how to do that to get the seat to move whenever I want it to move. Give you the fun feel, you know, it's like, shit, wow, the seat moves, wow, cool. So, that'll be that part there. Which the wiring, yeah, the floor, there's going to be flooring put in and wiring's going to be ran to the back. There's going to be a foot bar here with the dead man switch that I'm going to be getting also. I've got to find one. And, oh my goodness, where's the bridge? We've got floating track. That's it there, pretty much. I'll keep y'all updated. As I say again, thank you for watching the videos. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. I hate saying it, but I have to. Algorithms, they're saying are doing pretty good. A couple of my videos got like 800 some views. Thank you for watching that. Share with your friends and family, uncles, aunts, nephews, brothers and your sisters, the cats and the dogs down the street with the monkey in the tree. No racial pun intended. I got a black brother. His name is Jimmy. He's got Down syndrome. But birds and the bees in the skies too. So, lights. Oh yes, dynamics. And they're starting to scream. They're starting to scream. So, as I do say again, if y'all do not have a sound system whenever I'm playing these videos or these games, my goodness, we're running. Pop it up. Where's the bridge? Where's the bridge? Man, we're highballing it. Oh boy, we're still going. Apply some brakes. So yeah, that's the fun thing, man. This system right here, it makes these work for the simulator. Now Run 8, they haven't had it. That's the thing. They need to have something built like this. So if y'all guys play Run 8, send the video to them. Say, hey man, this dude built a simulator. Y'all need to make interface programs so his levers can work so we can keep doing the same thing and build our own. You know, you want us to use your product, but we can't use it with the keyboard. Come on. We don't like the raildriver because it's trash, personally speaking. I bought it just to see if I could tear it apart and figure out how it worked. Alright, we've got the speed back under control, 27.6. Down a grade of 1.0. We're full notch 8 dynamics. They are screaming. yeah, getting that guy set up and running is the fun part. So you're running it in window mode, your dynamics, you'll see what it's reading. That way you know it's all set right the way you want it on that part. So you're playing with this thing for a good week. So I can't see that for nothing. So 27, yeah. Pop it up again. Get to 7. We are starting to drop our speed, get it back under control there. That's it. What makes these guys work for TS 2020, 2022, raildriver joystick interface program. So whenever you saw me running it, and he was like, golly dang, how does he do it? You're running 3 programs at one time. Arduino program. Then your simulator. Then your interface. So that's not including the MFD screens, the radio via Bluetooth, music, YouTube. So you can't have a cheap $1,200 laptop. No, not happening. You gotta have a high-tech computer. You gotta at least have 8 terabytes of hard drive. And you cannot save the programs on program file C. It's got to be D. Because D is never used. That's what she said. So everything for the systems, it's set up on a different driver. Which I'll show you that here. So let me pause it. Since the video is a little bit long. So we'll get back to here. Bloop, bloop. Bloop. We'll get you dropped down to here. So yeah, we're a little bit long today, but don't worry. That's what he said. Hey, what's up? Who's that? So whenever we're running that, here we go. Let me get this here. We're going to downsize that. We're actually done for that today. But whenever we go to our files, we're going to get this over here. That's one thing I like about this. So we'll go to home. Home. Files. Okay. So MFD screens, that's there. Home. So this PC. So we go to this PC. See, you've got Windows C. That's just the standard stuff that's set on the computer. Volume D, everything for the simulators and the programs you are putting in there. Assets, MacroWorks 3.1, your manuals, your program files 86, your RDC calibration, TS 2017 raildriver joystick interfaces, which it does update. Defaults, your MLW, all your stuff that you're doing for that. Everything's got to be set on D. Because if you put it on C, it does not have the space. 15 items. File size, quite a bit. KB, I think that's a lot. So, that's quite a bit. Assets, RSC, JL, all that stuff there. So, manuals, MLW Auto, Evolution Series Manual, Program Files 86. See, Program Files 86 has all the stuff for Steam, your screenshots, your dispatcher comms, your user guide licenses, and all that stuff. So, whenever you're downloading Steam, you've got to move all that stuff over to driver D. Rail calibration, that's your rail driver calibration and all that stuff there. The controller file, modern controller, modern calibration. So read me there.
your TS 2017 joystick. So it'll tell you advanced button mapping, your PDF, data to serial ports, PDF, your raildriver joystick interface, PDF, when things go wrong, your PDF and stuff like that. So images used in documents, this guy here, all your files and key maps, in button map, all this stuff here. So whenever you're running that, what you do on this guy here is you'll click it, and you're going to go to, you're going to actually get it and move it onto the home screen. That way you've got that sucker there on your home screen whenever you need it. So that's what it'll do. But yeah, everything for the simulators that you're driving for TS 2020 and also your Run 8 has got to be put on Volume D. Because it uses quite a bit of memory. It'll lag your system, because like on mine, yeah, I'd have been maxed out already. So I put everything for the simulator on here. That way it's got it. And you don't want to fill nothing else in that. If it's not simulator set up, don't put it in Volume D. It keeps it from running lagged, which is like jumpy and spotty, and it's a headache. But yeah, you're spending quite a bit of money on a computer if you're going to get a computer for something like this. Which I'll show you the computer. It's not the best one, but it is. Yeah, it's an expensive computer. It cost me about $1,800. There's a lot more things I can put onto it. I do plan on doing it, but it's an iBuyPower, I believe. I've got to clean it out again. It does get dusty a little bit, so whenever you clean those things, you gotta shut them down completely. No power source or nothing. And you open it up and clean it out. Season all the Kingsmen couldn't put together the things I fucked up again. But that is it on the raildriver joystick interface program. That's the last program that I'm talking about. So as I do say again, thank you for watching and subscribing. If you like the videos, hit that like and subscribe. Any questions, feel free to comment. Try to get back to you as fast as I can. This next couple of weeks, I am going to be out of the States. But feel free to contact me. I've still got the phone and everything like that to stay in contact, which I'll probably put up some short videos and stuff and show how the vacation went with the family and kids. So that's pretty much it for today. One thing I'll tell you is I had my splitter go out on me. I don't know what happened, but my MFD screens wouldn't work. And I had checked the system to see if it was registering them. Yeah, that kicked on. Everything worked on them, but they weren't showing the view that they were supposed to show. So you might have to get one extra of these. It's HDMI splitter, runs off of 5 volts. Yeah, micro 5 volts, which is pretty cool. And it does read the button, like the inlet when it's plugged in, it'll say, okay, it's plugged in. We do register power going in. And then your screens, if you're using 1 or 2 ports, it'll light them up. And then your PW, which is your power. So, made in China. But that's pretty much it. 4K ultrasound, 4-way splitter for HDMI cords on your screens. Somebody get me off the carousel. Somebody get me off the carousel. Holy shit. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. I feel like hell. Somebody get me off the carousel. Playing Ring Around the Rosie. Holy shit. Somebody get me off the carousel. Holy crap.
together. Oh boy. All right, we're good there. Don't put me on the carousel. I'll probably puke. Especially after eating that lasagna. Carousel, somebody get me off the carousel. Shut up, Dale, you can't sing. You think can. Get me off the carousel. It's a better song. Get me off the carousel.
We're afraid we're gonna lose, acting like we're not the fools. Gotta play it cool, 'cause there's so many of the truth about our picture perfect lives. Crash the roller coaster ride. Now we're holding up the pieces, saying
Well.
I'm spinning while you don't days, but I know.
I'm wondering what it does here. Hold on a minute here. Back.
But you know the ass is working. Give me 8 coins, I wanna know them. Tell them where's up, you can get home. We all grew up in the friend house. Now we're all stressed out. Chasing smoking mirrors like we even know the way out. We're all the same, though. Another dreamers and a freak show.
There's a video.
Someone get me off the
Funny, all right. Give me off the carousel. Man, those things are fun as heck to ride whenever I was a kid, man. I went to Mexico one time, and it was during the fall, man. They had their it was like August, if not September, one of those two. Yeah, they had their fairs, their carnivals, and it's a big old state fair in San Luis Potosí, Mexico. And the handicapped people get to ride the rides free. No lie. Seriously. I was like, let me get in, dude. Positive. Keep going. Heck yeah, man. I rode all the rides like 4 or 5 times, and I had a blast. So anytime I go to Mexico during the fall time, August, go in there and get hang down, right? You know, I'll let you on the ride for no charge. It's amazing. I love it. I'm handicapped, so I can make fun of handicaps. I can build the simulator, I know. I love it. And stuff in there. But yeah, talking about those rides, those things are fun. Oh, look at there, medication, alright. Red and blues. Someone give me off the carousel. That's pretty cool. You're going round and round like man, I'm gonna have to do myself like a clown. I think I look pretty badass. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. That's pretty much it there for the video. Thanks for watching. PNSF 4178 out.